Okay, so today we will talk about the good, the bad, and the very ugly about this film. We had mixed feelings about this. We were super excited and super thrilled. It's a new film. It's a new manufacturer in the color space, so to say. But then we got the examples. I just wanted to jump out of some kind of bridge somewhere. Does it make sense? Should you buy this film? How should you shoot this film? And I think the most important thing, how should you process and scan this film? So let's go into it. This video will be complementing a bit our blog post, so if you are interested in digging in further, make sure to check that out. So what we've done, as scientifically as possible, we shot this in all the light situations possible. Direct sunlight, backlit, indoor lighting, flash, and then like open shade kind of style. We will have basically three parts. Testing in real life, which is like taking this film on a holiday trip, and in studio light. We are very lucky to work with many photographers, and they wanted to test this on their own. When they brought the film, we scanned it in 2 different scans, and the result was really surprising. This is our shot, testing shoot. Of course, Ivan was the photographer. You can clearly see what is the Frontier and what is the Noritsu. It's quite crazy. The difference is contrast, saturation, tonal range, which comes with the contrast, of course. But overall, we had this feeling that if you've shot it, maybe you've seen it, but when you cross-process light film, it looks very similar. It's like this bold, punchy, in-your-face colors. It speaks summer to us, really. It is absolutely crazy. It's wild. It's nice, like if that's what you want. But for me, the fact that this is not more explained from Harman side, it is misleading. I always think about somebody that's coming to a store and getting their first roll of film or their second roll of film. They are still learning and they just buy this film out of the shelf. The shop doesn't really know what it's gonna be like. They say, oh, it's a new thing, blah, blah, blah. They shoot it and their soul will be probably crushed. Keep in mind, this is shot under controlled environment. We know how to expose, we are doing a bracketing part, but if you don't know, and then this is gonna be the second test, which was my holidays. And it was a painful experience, but we'll talk about this. Quick look overall. This is Frontier, this is Noritsu. Just even in the thumbnails, it already looks so different. The problem is that by Harman standards, this is why I have mixed feelings about this, they say we did some testing with a lab in UK, and these are the recommended settings for the scanning. And it really doesn't do anything, to be honest. So for me, this is a bit misleading. All the exposures we did -1. We didn't even wanted to test -2. It makes no sense. So this means that we shot this at ISO 400. We shot it at ISO 200, at 150 ISO. Basically, it's from -1 to +2. So, for example, this was in open shade kind of situation. This was at nominal, so it was like ISO 200, and it looks like many people think Phoenix should look like. Then we tested it at +1, which is ISO 100. We can see some more information here. We can see there is a bit more life. We can see that the reds basically disappear. It's kind of insane. So I understand why some photographers say, or some labs say it's ISO 200, but for me, what I see here in the midtones, not especially in the reds or the blacks, I don't know if this is ISO 200. Feels a little bit like a marketing thingy, and this is what I don't like. This effect, what we see in the fabric, for example, this loss in colors is what we always see when you underexpose. So if you underexpose Hector, you underexpose Portra, if you underexpose Fuji, you will see this. Most of the examples we saw felt like underexposed effects most of the time. That's why we were wondering, is this film really 200? This is +2, which is a bit crazy. Remember, all these examples are straight from the scanner. So there is a scanner correction. It's what probably most people will get in most of labs. When you send to the lab, we always have this 2-step color correction, and there will be an editor trying to save and navigate the color to get something more usable. Of course, it's within the range of what the film can do, what the scanner can do, and what we can do. Keep in mind that these are kind of raw scans. We will jump to direct sunlight. This is a film that already adds a lot of contrast to your images. This is shot straight at 200. This is shot at 100 ISO, and this is shot at +2. It is quite savable on these settings, But when we go to -1, is what we see most of the time in the 100 examples. The loss of detail is kind of significant. This is left is -1 and here is 200. It's weird how it behaves. And I think how it absorbs the light is not kind of in a linear scale. It feels like this would be 0. So this -1, which is like 400 ISO, it would be like 200 ISO, what we saw in other examples. Might be a bit confusing, but just to say it, I feel it doesn't react the same on direct sunlight that on soft light. And this was very strange because the first film we've seen that reacts this way. Perhaps one of my favorite examples, this backlit shot. This is +1, which looks amazing. This is +2, which still looks amazing, but you can see there is a difference, +1 and +2. And then we go to 0, which is kind of similar to -1. This is why it really doesn't make sense. There is some corrections applied from the frontier, but it doesn't always make sense how it responds. And the funny thing is, we will put some pictures of the mask of the film. If you've seen the negatives, it looks kind of purplish. And we believe this also affects big time on how the scanner can resolve this, especially the frontier, which is a very locked up contrast scanner, so to say. We are not against it, but you have to be very clear, this film will perform this way in this light situation. We've seen how it looks on the frontier, which is what most people can scan in. This is what we get when we scan the Noritsu. Remember, it's the exact same film. We didn't change anything, we just took it from one scanner to the other scanner. Flare, backlit. Do you remember the images? Please, Sarah, help me with this. Put the images here somewhere. -1, 0, +1, +2. Are you kidding me? And this is the same exact emulsion. Is this a joke? We didn't do anything, not in post-production or anything. This is just scanning in one way or another way. The Noritsu offers us a bigger range to correct contrast, highlights, shadows, and so on. This is raw, like this is what we get out of the scanner. Then we can work with the image out. Of course, we can work with the frontier one, but it's kind of starting on a very difficult setup where if you just touch something, the color is all glued together and it's impossible to do anything. Direct sunlight, how is this possible? Like, is this the same? Like, I don't understand anything. This is the first film that blew my mind. All what I thought I understood about film, nothing. This is soft light. This looks nice. Like, this is very usable. This is a shot at 200 in the shadow, but not if I go on the frontier and I get something like this. It's like Instagram filter from 2013. We've seen the tests that we've done. We love testing, but we hate testing at the same time because it doesn't really show what's going to happen, and especially for most of people. I took a couple rolls, we went on a trip to the mountains in the north of Spain, and I said, okay, I'm going to shoot this, and because I'm the owner of the lab, I'm probably going to take amazing results that will look amazing in both Frontier and Noritsu. And you get a slap in your face. This was what I got back. I was like, okay, this cannot be that hard. You know, I'm gonna be able to fix this. I was exposing this between ISO 200 and 100 because I was already knowing like, okay, this is gonna go this way or that way. But it was really brutal on the frontier, especially when you overexpose a little bit, especially on a hard sunlight. It's like, it's completely crazy. Like the highlights are basically gone. Again, this is from the scanner. We correct on the scanner and then on post-pro, but there is nothing here, it's just gray. I cannot do anything. The grain is super hard. Kind of, it has this lo-fi vibe. Like we were joking with a friend, Nico from Nicolas Yacera, about it feels like the photos from punk rock bands in the 90s, which is, okay, it's one of the looks, but it's not what I wanted for this, you know? It's like we are on the mountains hiking, you don't need that it looks like radioactive. If we start taking off contrast, we can get something out of it a bit more normal, but still we have this cloud of grain all over the place. This is what we could do in the scanner, like removing contrast, and we can get something back out of it, but still it feels like this cow is in another dimension. Same, I can copy paste the settings and we can start getting something, but it's too much. Like, same situation, and this is no comment. I'm doing this because this was the same feeling I got. When I got the images, I was like, okay, let's see. I'm like, ouch, ouch, okay, ouch. We opened the lab because we wanted to avoid this, to have the best experience as possible since day one. It's hard because there is a learning curve, but yeah. I mean, they are not the best pictures ever, okay? Like, I'm being brutally honest here. This is my holiday photos. And I know Alba scanned this, and Alba is a great scanner. It's like the best scanner we have. But this, how is like half of his face pitch white? I try to get my head around it, but especially when I started learning photography back in the day. The golden rule, and this is what we talk with the team, there cannot be just blown highlights. It's just not possible. Like anything that is pitch white, it's wrong. And this is what we were getting a lot of times. I mean, seriously? So this is what I got in the frontera. I said, Alba, por favor, can you rescan this on the Noritsu? And because she's the nicest, she said yes. So I got the Noritsu scans. And I was like, aha, now we are talking. This is not Portra 400, this is not Gold, this is not Fuji 200 Premium from Japan. It is not neither of these films. But it's okay, you don't have to be this film. Okay, this left Noritsu doesn't look absolutely amazing. But okay, I can work with it. It's a new film, I can expect this. When I look at the Noritsu scans, I can see something, like we can work with this film a little bit. We can even tweak it even more in the Noritsu. There is much more people that will not be ready to use this film in a frontier as wild as it is. It's like riding a wild horse. But it's like, okay, this can be funny. You know, like it's okay. I can save my holidays. You know, I can send some pictures to my friends. I can maybe print some. Like, again, Sarah, come here, please. You need to see this.
Dios. Oh my God.
I think that's pretty much it. Since this film came out, we thought it was incredible. Like there is a new manufacturing in town for color film. But we saw that it's a more complex issue than we anticipated. So that's why we wanted to do something more rather than to say, hey, new film, buy it, it's amazing. We're not gonna say this. There is some content creators that did amazing reviews. I strongly recommend check Kylie McDougall's one. But most of people work with labs, which is more convenient, faster, less complicated, and so on. That's why we were born, actually, to explain what happens, to help photographers, and to help the industry overall in what we can. Yeah, I think that's it.
Did you mention what happened in Barcelona?
Oh, okay. In Barcelona, many things happened. A fashion photographer that is usually focused on makeup decided to shoot a roll of Phoenix. He shot this Phoenix in studio light. We've never seen it before, and the results are crazy. You can clearly see on the screen what is Frontier and what is Noritsu. This, again, same emulsion, scanned first on the Frontier and then on the Noritsu. The difference is so wild. You can like one more than the other. For us, this is truly shocking. Where does this color come from? I have no idea. Like, I don't understand, of course, the algorithms of it 100%. It's so brutal. Some shots are better than the others. It depends on the light situation. But it's funny to see how the shadows in the Frontier get rendered in a way which is totally wild. Again, remember, raw scans. The editors didn't work on this. For the average person, I mean, you could expect that this looks Phoenix, it's kind of reddish, but if you get this, it's like super hard to work around these images. I mean, I can understand why some people can prefer the image on the left, which is the Frontier, to the right than the Noritsu, but it's a really risky bet. If I would have to compare it to something, I think it's almost like if you were shooting black and white or color. If you shoot black and white, there's no way you can go back. I mean, coloring, but don't do that. If you shoot color, you have kind of both options. I kind of feel similar with this. Like if you go on Frontier, there is no going back. If you go on Noritsu, there is a way that you can, modify this to make it look a bit more bold, a bit more grainy. Answering to the question that does this work in every light situation? I don't think so. To be honest, this is not a flexible film. It's not something that you can bring anywhere, especially if you work on a Frontier. This is a film that you will have to be very aware of where you shoot it. So it's not a careless film like you have a Gold 200, a Portra 400. We strongly recommend to check the blog because all the examples are there. You really need to think about where will you develop and scan this film, especially where will you scan this film, because this will such a huge difference in the images you will get. Is this ISO 200 film? I don't know, but I don't feel so. This is the ugly part of the whole thing. I think this is not fair marketing, and I would have put this film at 125 ISO. But what happens? If you are on a shelf and you have to choose a film, 125, and you have a 200 ISO film, what do you think most people is gonna buy? I mean, I don't have to think, I see it on the store, like every day. When we see something like this that I feel it's a bit misleading for photographers and consumers, especially the new ones, I don't think it's fair. So this is for me the ugliest part perhaps of this all. And this should not be advertised as ISO 200 film. You can disagree with me, I don't care. We are doing this also for other labs. Even if you don't have the best model, the best light, you don't need like a $10,000 camera. We've seen it, and the best of is a testimonial of this. The moral of the story is keep shooting, be informed, comment if you want us to make more videos. Probably we won't.